You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, Chiro Pro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 262 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host Jim Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Jennifer Norbits, and if you want to hear the story about 10X in your life, stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today we have Dr. Jennifer Norbits coming in from Sarasota, Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Luke Millette and I are coming in from the great state of Colorado, Grand Junction. And it's been a real awesome pleasure to get to know Dr. Jennifer over the past couple months. We bumped into each other in a few clubhouse rooms, and I was like, wow, this girl has so much fire and she has so much to say. And I was like, we have to get her on the show. So thank you for taking the opportunity of jumping on with us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Well, I know that you're going to be able to help a lot of people with your story of chiropractic and where you've started from and where you are today. Maybe you can just share with us briefly your chiropractic story and what got you into this beautiful profession.
Honestly, I started as a kid in chiropractic and was adjusted when I was 7 years old. And even patients today look at me strange when I say I minimally get adjusted one time a week, always and forever. And if I get a cough, a cold, all those kinds of things, I get adjusted. Chiropractic has been like my end all be all. So I can't even, my mother went in, she had a low back challenge, and the chiropractor had educated her as to why she should get her children adjusted. And I've been getting adjusted ever since. So even now at 50 years old, and especially now with everything that we've had in the last 2020, I don't know if we can swear on here, but shit show. I definitely get adjusted and wouldn't miss a week. So, and there's times I might get more than that, but yeah, chiropractic is completely my jam.
That's awesome. I think that it's wise for people to understand getting checked and adjusted regularly is one way to keep the body optimized with the nervous system that functions well, and another way to keep the body functioning biomechanically. And I think that both those things are super important for longevity and enjoyment of life, that we have to really pay attention to those things and not just have somebody try to take care of us when we don't feel good.
Right. That's such a big thing. I mean, there's the challenge with chiropractic is you can walk into so many different offices and have something completely different. And it's called chiropractic, which can confuse our population as to what is chiropractic. So when I go in, and right now I cover a lot of offices. I even did chiropractic in Portugal when I traveled last year. And it's funny, the Portuguese, even though I don't speak their language, they got it easier than we do sometimes here in the States. And it all is just above, down, inside out. What made the body heals the body. Your brain runs and controls every single thing. And all I'm going to do is remove the nerve interference so your body can heal from inside out. And we seem to miss that here sometimes. We can say it over and over and over and over, but you're also talking to a population that may be medicated, may be sitting in front of the TV, may not even be able to penetrate them until the 20th, 30th, 40th, 100th time. And so literally it's just like repeat, 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 repeat. And that one day you will light that candle and that one person will start to get it. And maybe they'll go be a chiropractor, or maybe they will just tell other people how awesome chiropractic is.
So what would you say makes you unique in the chiropractic world? How do you stand apart?
Truth and an awesome adjuster. I don't sugarcoat. I'm black and white. If a patient tells me, there may be times that, you're going to pay a lot of money and you're going to come for a really long time. This isn't just a one-time thing. It's the same with my staff. When, I had offices, I have high expectations, but I also took really good care of my staff and took them to learn about chiropractic. And some of my best staff went on to be chiropractors. So I invest in my patients. I invest in my community. I invest in my staff. If they ask me about something, I'll go get it. If I don't know it, I'll go get a book. I'll go find information for them. I'll stay after. I'll come in late. But they are going to get truth. There is no watered down.
That's so powerful. And I want to go back to what you were saying back when you're discussing chiropractic, how to explain it in Portugal. And my favorite is, if you cut yourself or get a mosquito bite and you scratch it, you don't have to tell it to heal. It's naturally going to scab over and heal, because that's the body's way that it functions. And the body does that internally too. If we feed it the right stuff and we keep pressure off the nervous system by having a healthy spine, the organ system and the spine and the nerves don't atrophy. And people so much think that if they're not feeling good, then they're sick.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that they're optimally functioning with a healthy nervous system and a healthy organ system. And people don't know that is things will atrophy if you don't use them. If you don't go and curl weights, you're not going to get biceps. If you don't read books, you're not going to grow this thing. Right. If you don't function the spine, it will distort and become atrophied.
Amen. So, that's definitely, when I went to Portugal and worked with Brazilian soccer players, I did not speak Portuguese. I'm currently learning Portuguese because I was just recently licensed. Everything came through, but I basically use body language, which is 60%, right? So, I would put one patient misaligned and explain how, with my hands, your brain runs and controls everything, sends a signal down the spinal cord. And if he's misaligned, that chokes this nerve. And just by using my body language, you would have this aha moment. And then once one person got adjusted, and then I said, please, share with the next person what your experience was and how it helped you. They just knew, and they just got it. Innately, they knew that as I was removing the interference, their body was going to heal. They just got it.
So what are some mantras that you live your life by? Do you have any favorite inspirational quotes or words of wisdom?
Oh, gosh. Lately I've just joined the 10X Accelerator. And so that's really been when I don't feel like doing the 75 hard, which has been kicking my ass, which it's been hot down here in Florida. So I lift weights and then I go run my freaking dogs 3 or 4 miles in the heat.
What day are you on?
I actually started over twice. I'm not even kidding you. Because I was like, oh my God, I didn't drink all the freaking water. And so I think I'm on 5 this time, but I was like, really? I've got to start all over. And it was at 5. So that's cool. It was only at 5. Had I been even further along, it would have been more annoying. But yeah, I live my life as if, don't point another finger at someone else because there's 3 or 4 fingers pointing back at yourself. Always take responsibility for yourself and your own actions, but also the path of least resistance. It's going to be dangled in front of you 24/7, and you can choose that path. You can choose to go down that path of least resistance, but it's really less fun. It's much better. Even last year when I went to Portugal, I can't tell you how many people said, Americans, you cannot get into Portugal. And I said, I'm not listening. I journaled how I was going to get on the plane. I read the paragraph every single day, 3 or 4 times a day. I did the steps that was needed to get into the country. And then I got out, and then I came back and got my dogs and went for 4 months. But that's been anything in life. If somebody tells me, no, I can't do it, I find a way to do it. It's almost more encouraging when they tell me it can't be done.
I like that. I like that you take action. Action is something that a lot of people need to do a little bit more. And I believe that that's really the chiropractic method, is chiropractic as a profession of action. And the reason that it's still standing alone and as strong as it is because it's in action and it's in service. And it's an amazing part of what you're doing. And that's why, interviewing chiropractors as much as we do, it's really cool to hear the stories. And each chiropractor to me is a hero, and they're doing great work. They're doing great work for their local communities. And I've always said, more people should know their neighborhood chiropractor. And if you ask a regular person, hey, do you go see the chiropractor? Generally speaking, it won't roll right off their tongue, or the last time they went to go get checked won't be like regular in their memory. So it's important for us to keep sharing these stories and to shine a spotlight on the heroes of the healthcare profession.
Yes, amen. And I feel like, when people in your community are either they're not saying something about chiropractic, that's our responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. It's our responsibility as a chiropractor to teach them. Even, I had an office, my first office, that went really quick. It grew really fast. And it was only because, one, I was hungry. Two, I had student loans coming. I wanted to get from a 1-bedroom to actually a house. And I got in the community before patients. I would see patients. I'd go back out in the community at lunchtime. I would adjust patients in the afternoon. Then I would go out all evening until 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And we just screened, met people, got in the community, went and knocked on doors, went to firehouses. I even hung out at the Starbucks and we bought coffee like for the first hour, like every morning. They're like, that's a chiropractor that buys us coffee, right? And it may have not even gotten a patient from it, but what you start to do is become this obsession in the community where everybody's like, that's a chiropractor again. She's at the freaking Walgreens now. She's taking blood pressure. Oh my God, now she's at the fair, or now she's doing a talk at Barnes & Noble. But when you start to, like, those first 5 years, you don't know if your business is going to make it. You don't know if you're going to eat, but it's your job to serve as many people as possible, shake as many hands, kiss as many babies, and get the freak out there and basically just change lives. And they're not going to know unless they hear your voice, and you're going to do it wrong. You're going to screw it up completely, and you'll have people get upset at you, but then you start to do it right eventually. And then you do it wrong again, and then you do it right again.
So how do you think the world would change if every person on the planet started getting adjusted regularly?
Oh my God, we wouldn't be where we are now. There wouldn't be people lining up for the freaking COVID vaccine because they wouldn't be subluxated and think that they need it. And I don't know if I can say that on here or Facebook will ban us, but whatever. So it's like if one more person tells me that they've gotten their second COVID vaccine, or they say, well, why don't you have a mask on, doctor? Well, if your COVID vaccine works, I should be fine without my mask. But it's literally, if every single person on this planet was getting adjusted, they would start thinking right. They would be more empowered to believe that the body can heal itself from the inside out, and we don't need to inject something inside of us that's not been tested.
I love that you say all this, and I don't know what the social media
they may ban us all.
YouTube doesn't like us very much right now when we talk about those topics, but if YouTube says no, then YouTube says no eventually. But you saying that, I think a lot of times people need to understand that the body is very powerful and it's very resilient. And we do have the ability to adapt. And that's one of the major principles of chiropractic, of adaptation. And the body's always modifying and changing and adapting on a day-to-day basis. And everybody's body's changing daily. You know, if people knew, like, organs basically rebuild themselves, brain cells can rebuild themselves, tissues can rebuild themselves. I think the only thing you don't get is a new spine.
Amen. Amen. But if we would trust more in the power of the body and the power that is in our body, in our brain, that runs down our spinal cord every single day, we wouldn't do all these outside in things, right? We would trust that our body can heal that cut, that common cold, what have you. We wouldn't feel the need to take something for it. We'd get adjusted, remove the subluxation, and be super powerful. Our whole entire planet would be changing. We wouldn't be where we are today.
So based on that, now we're future pacing you. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the profession going? 5 to 20 years?
I have concerns about the profession, about our planet, about where we are right now. My hope and my prayer is that we can speak more truth to people and not censor anything when it comes to health. Chiropractors shouldn't be censored by having to wear a mask to go into the office. We of all people know that the above, down, inside out, what made the body heals the body. If you've got a cough, you still go in and see patients, you just get adjusted. And my hope and my prayer is that we become stronger for it and realize that we have to speak, we have to stand up. This is not the time to hide. This is not the time, and I'm also, and not to go in a whole nother direction, but I'm more of a hands-on chiropractor. Do I use some tools? Yes, if someone asks me. But it's just speak the truth to the patients. Tell them that's really what they want to hear. They're not interested in a watered down version. They could go to a medical doctor for that.
Well, you said something about the whole masking and not being in congruence with the profession. And it's not. And it never has been, and it never will be, and it's never, never, never. It's just something that's not a part of the profession. And, when you probably ran your offices, or I don't know if you're still running an office, but when people would call and say, hey, I'm not feeling well today, you'd be like, no. You're still coming in.
Right.
We like you when you're not feeling well. Right. And you're not going to cancel today because you don't feel well. I am really good at adjusting people that don't feel well. And your body's going to respond to the release of the white blood cells when I adjust you, and your body's going to heal quicker. So come on in with your common cold, come on in with your sniffles, come on in with your cough. And the whole mask thing is, you went to school for how many years to become a doctor? That gives people legitimacy with a doctor degree to say, I went to school for X amount of years to become a doctor. This is my degree, and I choose not to because I'm a doctor. And that should be enough. Right. This is my face. This is my real estate.
Right.
I own this.
Amen.
And I choose not to do that.
Amen.
And I don't need to explain because I'm a doctor. And I said this to many of my chiropractic colleagues. I'm like, look, just tell people that you're a doctor. End game.
Right. Right.
I'm a doctor. I choose not to do that.
When you stand in your truth and you stand in your posture, you'll just begin to attract the patients that'll come in and see you. Will there be some patients that walk out? Absolutely. I have that today when I cover offices. I have some offices that do not want me to come and cover for them because I'm not going to put on the equipment. I won't wear the mask because I don't believe it's chiropractic. I don't believe I'm serving the patients by letting them think that they should live a life in fear, because that's what it's doing. And I feel like it's our job to empower them and set an example. As the example we set by coming in without the mask, not vaccinated, and realizing that I get adjusted, I eat clean and healthy, I work out, I exercise, I do the things right so that my body can heal, as opposed to taking a drug, a vaccine, or wearing a mask, which isn't going to help me.
And that's the part that the mainstream media never told people. And that's shame on them.
Right.
Shame on them for not telling people the chiropractic philosophy. Shame on them for not telling people to live healthy by action and activity and diet and mindset and the things that the chiropractic profession is standardized on.
Right.
Tell people how to do that. I don't care if there's not money in it, but these are people's lives that are at stake. And that's the part where shame on them, because they're telling people to do things and they're not taking people's lives at stake. That's the problem.
Well, in truth, those of us that are awake know there's a bigger agenda.
Of course.
Well, we won't totally get into that because you and I will probably both be removed off of Facebook. But
that's just it. It's
Sure.
like that the profession of chiropractic never believed in any of the stuff that the media and big pharma is trying to sell to people.
Amen.
Like, if it was such a bad thing, you wouldn't have to market it.
Right.
Like if honestly, I told people this, if like 1 in 2 people were dying, I'm doing whatever I can to not die.
Right.
But people aren't dying. I mean, people are sick. I'm not going to say people aren't dying, because they are.
Right.
But not enough to shut the world down.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, Chiro Pro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle.
So tell us, who are some of your chiropractic heroes who've influenced you to be who you are today?
Oh my. Well, Charlie Majors, who is no longer with us. I used to coach and train with him, and I would get on calls with him when I had my head in my ass. And Charlie, a group of us in Chicago, we would go there and train every 2 weeks. We'd stand in the circle and we'd role play, we'd do things, and we'd go to lunch. Also just Maximize Living in general, Ben Lerner, Greg Lohman, a lot of really, Dan Yachter, Chris Sano, Roger Romano down here in Sarasota. I came down to Roger's office, and there's so many of them that I've had a blessed and opportunity. Billy DeMoss, I love him. And there's so many that I've had a chance to meet, come in contact with, train with. I'm blessed for the opportunity. There's a lot of really powerful ones that I'm not even mentioning now that have become really good friends over the years. James Judge, also. There's a lot of powerful docs, everywhere, but those are just a few that have really blessed my life. But Charlie's probably the one who really blessed my life.
So just off of memory, did you ever get a chance to meet Jenna Lujan?
Yeah, we're friends. I was like, wait, she got married. Is that really? Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Her and Zach are good friends of ours.
Oh, awesome. Yes. Yeah. Well, she was an associate of Charlie's when Charlie was sick, and there was a whole bunch of things going on. So yeah, we became really good friends.
That's cool. Yeah. It's always nice to connect the dots.
Yes. Yes.
So marketing, what do you like to do for marketing? What do you not like to do? What are some of the things that you did that didn't work? Because I remember earlier, you invest in everything, kind of just works. So I feel like that might be the same thing you'll say about marketing.
Well, I really feel when I first started marketing, I first started in chiropractic. I think at the time I was with David Singer, which David Singer teaches you get new patients, get them to stay, pay, and refer. I'd also trained with some doctors out of Louisville who said, you've got an hour, go get a new patient. And I went to Walmart and found a greeter, and I picked some random thing that I didn't think that they could find. So I'd have enough time to talk to them and close and book them and bring them back to the office. But literally, I feel like all things work if your head is in the game. And even if you don't have, you can go do a screening and feel like you completely sucked at it. Nobody came in from the screening, but just because you put the energy out there and you show up on Monday, someone's going to freaking walk into the office because you're doing the do. Is it multiple things? Absolutely. It's, from screenings to talks to now social media to getting on radio shows. It's not just one thing. You have to be all places, especially in that first 5 years. If you're a new entrepreneur out, most chiropractors and businesses fail in the first 5 years, the majority. So if you're not eat, breathe, sleep, and that's not your baby, there's a chance that practice will go down. And besides that, people just don't know you. They don't know what you do. And also it's learning to take that word no and going, it's okay. It's not me, that's them. And there's a reason they're saying no, and it has nothing to do with you, but it's growing through that no and getting better yourself and going, that no is really no big deal. They're not coming in. How many billion people are on this planet that I still need to impact? So what, 500 people said no today? Move on. I don't know if that helps, but
that was good.
So what would be some advice you would give to a chiropractic student who's about to graduate?
Wow. Low overhead. That was one of the things that totally saved me. I still don't have an Apple computer. Not even kidding. I have an Apple phone, but when I say that, I mean, like my first office, I really didn't know what I was doing. I bought all used equipment. I had a used x-ray that literally cost me like $3,000 to $4,000, actually caught on fire by like year 3 after we had like x-rayed hundreds and hundreds of people. And then I had like a replacement clause on it. So I got a brand new x-ray anyways. It was like, God was like, I got your back, girlfriend. I'm going to bring you a new x-ray. But literally we started, and I also negotiated the lease with 6 months free up front. I had him do the build out for me. And, like you want to keep everything low because you don't know what your cash flow is going to be in the beginning, right? And if you can get a good head start out of the gates and not be able to freak out because you've got bills or you've got stuff to pay, that's the biggest thing is low overhead. You don't want payments on a bunch of brand new equipment. You want to have it paid for in cash ahead of time. Start low, maybe with one girl until you can get it up to 250, 300 a week. And then you could maybe add another person. But even Grant Cardone and Brandon talk about, when to add that next person into your business and how much are they returning on their investment when they come in. For anything, I say it's low overhead. Don't go buying cars and houses and all that. Like if you buy a car, you should have 3 times that in the bank and 3 times that in the savings. If you don't have it, don't get it. Don't get a payment, because you got to look good in a Mercedes because now you're a freaking doctor. You can drive the Honda, you can drive the Jeep, you can drive the whatever until you get there, because getting there isn't like I had a good 6 months, even for myself, I think we went from like 0 to 250 patients a week in 6 months. And then we were growing, but that was like, I was hungry. I was freaked out and was like, oh my God, our rent's $36.50. How are we going to pay this? And I was just like, not sleep, get in the community. And I'm Midwest. So it was just work ethic, get out there, meet people, talk to people, serve them, give them good quality care, and then ask them, who do you know if you're leaving, who you got to replace you?
Do you think students should pick their schools based on geographic location?
Not necessarily. No, I think they should pick their school based on how successful they think they're going to be when it comes to being a chiropractor. Now, the challenge with that is, and I may not have a lot of people in the profession or the schools that love me when I say this, but the school didn't really teach me to be a chiropractor. It kind of did. It taught me to pass my boards, but it didn't teach me, chiropractors get out and go, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to do the business. Were you kidding? If you get married, you got to market yourself. If you're going to get married, it's like a business transaction, right? So you're going to have to learn to market yourself. You got to learn how to talk to people. You got to learn communication. You have to learn all these other things that the schools won't teach you. So I say pick a school that you go, like I wouldn't even go to all the schools. Now I have a few of my favorites myself that I refer to. But you also do want to learn how to adjust, but you're not necessarily going to learn that in school. You got to learn it from other chiropractors, going to clubs and doing those and the more people you get your hands on. I don't know if I answered your question, but.
No, I think it's extremely powerful, the information you shared, from business strategy and from marketing strategy. And people that don't understand chiro business, they need to listen to this episode. And they need to understand that it does take consistency. It takes drive. It takes blue collar work ethic. And you have to do a lot of stuff you don't want to do. And you have to show up a lot of hours where you'd rather be doing other stuff. And that's just the life of being a small business owner. You have to wear so many hats. And that's the other thing is when you do get to the point where you're actually starting to say, wow, I'm at capacity for hours spent on life. How can I bring somebody in? And having the ability to actually teach and train and commit to somebody after you're already like burnt the candle on both ends. That's why a lot of times it doesn't work well, because you're not sustained enough to say, I'm ready to actually explain to people what I need them to do for me. So then you keep doing everything yourself, and that person doesn't even know how to play in your game.
Right. It really is. I've hired associate doctors, I've hired staff. And eventually, as I hire them, I say, you will speak like me, talk like me, walk like me. You'll go home saying what I say. And I want you to learn, but I breathe life into them. They get adjusted. Their family gets adjusted. I give them books on chiropractic. I take them to seminars. I take them to Tony Robbins. We go to, give them a book on 10x their life. If you teach them how to 10x their life, they're going to invest in you and they're going to invest in your business. You're not going to, people are like, where do I find good people? You create good people. You get an associate doctor and you create a good associate doctor. For my associate at the time, my best associate was the one that I said, you're going to adjust 100 patients on this table that you don't see. There's 100 patients that are not there, but you're going to walk around this table and you're going to adjust 100 patients and you've got an hour to do it. Move. But it taught him to visualize and to see 100 patients are coming in today to see him. They're going to lay on this table. They're going to flip over. You're going to adjust them on their side and their back. There's really nobody there, but you're putting it out there. You're learning to visualize and you're learning to move. And he became the best doctor just by practicing and repeating and being coachable and being teachable. But when they say, I can't find good staff, you create good staff. God just doesn't plant them in your office. You already have them. You just have to teach them if they're coachable.
Amen. I think that's so important that people need to be able to articulate that the perfect partner, Luke, it took time to get us to be able to do great stuff. It took time for us to be able to understand that his strength was different than my strength. It took time for us to be able to say, who can we have now come help us? It took time to make that ideal person show up because, as you know, people look good for the first 3 days. And then you're like, who is this person? Day 4. You're like, you showed up on day 4 and you're not the person that I met during the 2 interviews and the first 3 shifts. And now, whoa. So I think a lot of it is you do have to find a lot of people that aren't your ideal candidate for the first 3 shifts and learn how to work with them. They say you should hire 3 people for every position. And the third person that you hire is going to be the one that works out.
We used to do group interviews. And when we did group interviews, literally we would have 100 or so people come in. They'd have to pop up and give a 30-second story of why we should keep them. And then we gave them a clipboard that I knew it might not come back. And they had I think it was an hour to go meet 15 people and come back with their names, number, and information. Some people wanted to vomit on themselves and we knew they weren't coming back, and neither were our clipboard. But it was hiring those people. Plus, everywhere you go, I go to Starbucks and I'd hire a ton of people from Starbucks because they know how to greet you, how to say hi. They have a good training program, and they're awake. They have energy. And if I've got somebody awake with energy, I can train anything.
Yeah, I think coffee culture is really important. People that work in the service industry, I was a bartender. I know that people that pay attention to details that are busy as heck.
Yes.
Like they always say, if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Amen. Amen.
I've never met a coffee person that doesn't hustle.
Right.
They know where all the milks are, all the pumps are. They know where the recipes. They know how to get something that would take me 30 minutes. They're doing in 17 seconds.
Yes.
I'm like, how did they know where the blender was, and how did they wash the blender, and how did they charge people, and how did they greet 25 people? How did they write everybody's name on there? It's wow.
Right.
And that industry is impressive because their bottom line is production and service.
Yes. Yes.
And when you understand business of chiropractic, it's also production and service.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
Whenever you see a good business, I think it's important for people to mentally model that and to, in a lesser term, give people an upgrade for their potential for where they work.
Right. Yeah, we mimic, model, master, and just practice and repeat and practice and repeat. And with your staff, you may not want to do a staff meeting every single week, but our staff had to bring in their stats and show them to us if they sucked, if they were up, and then we had to role play. And the more you practice, the more you're going to be better with the community.
So let me ask you this. I know we're coming up to the edge of our time together, but
yes,
what struggles have you had? What are some of your things that have challenged you over your career?
Gosh, let's see. There's a host of things. As you grow, you get more shit, right? So you can stay in your bubble and you can choose not to grow. And have I had board complaints? Absolutely, yes, positively. Have I been in front of the board? Absolutely, positively. Have I had the board show up to my office? Yes, I have. It would be those moments when the board says, patient said that you could cure cancer. And I'm like, well, that's not what I said, but this is what actually happened. But when you start to get out there and you start to meet people, not everybody is going to like your energy, and you're going to get some negative feedback. And it's how you handle that negative feedback when it comes at you. You can choose to let it shut you down, and it may shut you down for a season, or it may shut you down for a month or a week or an hour or 5 minutes, the better you become. And Charlie would talk to us about this, and Tony Robbins talks about your state. When you get a piece of bad news, how long do you stay there? As you're going to take hits, you're going to have stuff that has happened. I have, and I think you were in the group when we were on, Clubhouse, when I said, about my marriage and about how we had also been homeless, and I had lived in a Land Rover for 30 days, and that led to our divorce. And we had a whole host of things happen, and we lost 3 businesses. And then behind that came the loss of my marriage. And I was literally on my knees asking God, like, what. And sometimes God sees things that we don't see. God will, at the time, I didn't want to leave my marriage because I was a Christian. And I thought, well, that's not the Christian thing to do. But God sees things that we don't see. He hears things we don't see. He knows things that we don't know. And he'll keep having things happen if we don't see it and we don't recognize it and we don't change it. And I had girlfriends that said, you'll be so grateful for this divorce. And I thought, well, that's an awful thing to say. And I got divorced. And at the time, my husband, his biggest complaint to me was, you just work. You just work 24/7. You never want to have joy. You never want to have fun. So my divorce was final, and I updated my passport, and I said, screw it. I am going to Portugal, or I'm going to Brazil, or I'm going somewhere. And then the scandemic starts, right? And my mother's like, well, you can't go. And I said, of course I'm going. And I went, and I got on a plane, and I didn't speak the language. I didn't know what I was doing, but it developed a whole new muscle. It developed a muscle I didn't have before. I found Jennifer after like 50 years. I turned 50 and in Portugal, and I found me again. And I didn't have that person the whole time. It's crazy that we go through all these hoops. I was raised, get married, have the white picket fence, have the children, have the kids, do all this. And it really didn't turn out that way at all, but yet it turned out exactly the way it was supposed to. Because God forms you and creates you for something so much bigger than he has. And it's only upon those failures that you have to smack your face so hard. And you may lose people that are in your circle, but you realize who you're really meant to be and what you're really meant for. And a lot of times we just play so freaking small that we get hit, and we're like, well, I'm just going to hide out for a while. I'm going to hide in my cave. Screw that. Stand on top of that cave and let everybody know you're alive and that you freaking got it. And if they don't like you, so what? There's how many other billion people on this planet? So I hope that helped. And I thank you guys for allowing me today.
Yeah. For me, I made a post the other day, and I said 99% of the people in the world will never know you. So the ones that do, it's not our job to make them like us, but through the course of life, if it works out, through the relationship process, a good majority of them will love you.
Yes.
And I think that's the important part.
Amen. Giving you both a virtual hug and a kiss today. So thank you very much.
Really quickly, before we all sign off, where can people go to learn more about you online?
Actually, I'm in process. I actually just returned back to Facebook due to my website designer. I left Facebook since it was a shit show last year. So I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram as Dr. Jennifer Norbits. And I am in process of making a website that'll be drjennifernorbits.com. So.
And in 1 minute, what are you reading right now?
10X and Sell or Be Sold.
And what are you listening to?
10X or Sell or Be Sold. And I'm literally I'm listening to Well, we have to do our Cardone University every single day, 2 times a day. And then we have our calls and then the accelerator group and then Brandon on Thursday nights. So we get homework, and I'm supposed to be doing 200 calls a day. So it's like literally a fire hose that's coming at me, but it's super good for growth.
All right. Wrong question. If you were to go to a concert right now and see a band play, who would it be?
Oh my God. I'm not even sure. Who was that guy? I went to the one that everybody was smoking weed, just got to say. And I'm not so good with music. I don't always, shoot. I can see his name somewhere. I don't even know. I'm sorry. Gosh.
No, it's okay. I was like, this girl's so well scripted.
No, I'm not.
I'm going to throw a curveball at her at the end.
That's totally music is like, I don't know.
You're like, I'm reading this book. I'm listening to this podcast. I'm doing these types of things.
Right.
But the thing I pulled away from that is you're very driven. And I bless you for doing 200 phone calls a day. And I think that that's very ambitious. And I think that you're 10xing your life and you're learning how to live by your own code, which I think is extremely important. And we're just really thankful that you were our guest today and you shared some of your life with us and talked to us about your struggles and some of the great things about this beautiful profession of chiropractic.
Thank you. Thank you both very, very much for today.
Thank you for being our guest, and we want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.